Hello there, my very good friends. Andy Murray here to run through more of the fallout and everything else from WWE Elimination Chamber 2025. One of the most impactful WWE PLEs in a while. All kinds of chaos going on, and we're going to cover every single bit now that the smoke is starting to clear and you can see WrestleMania at the top of the hill in the distance. We're going to start off with entry number 7 on this list of new directions for WWE after Elimination Chamber 2025, which is Tiffany Stratton conquering Charlotte Flair. At this stage in the feud, it just feels like the right direction for Tiffany to beat Charlotte at WrestleMania, claim the biggest victory of her career, and move up to the next level. So the pattern of this feud so far has been quite one-sided. It's been a lot of Charlotte owning the situation, cutting promos on Tiffany while she's down, controlling the engagements, all of that stuff, which it kind of should be because she's the heel. She is the villain in this story. They clarified Charlotte's alignment after the Royal Rumble when it was a bit confusing, especially on that Raw after the Rumble when she was appealing to the crowd and they were kind of like, no, you're a heel, let's stop it. Even though she was being very sincere about her injury struggles and all of that stuff, she's just more natural in the heel role. And I think that Charlotte beating Tiffany at WrestleMania doesn't do a great deal of positive stuff across the board. We know Charlotte is a dominant, prestigious wrestler. She's like a 14, 15 time world champion at this stage. She's had a lot of belts, is the point. Whereas Tiffany, this would be a signature win for her. This would be a real leg up the roster. It would be going from whatever tier she's on now to the one above, going over one of the 4 horsewomen. So I think in such a prestigious setting as well, WrestleMania. So I think that's the right move. It's what I would do. Tiffany, of course, pinned Candice LeRae, teaming up with Trish Stratus to face Candice and Nia Jax at the Elimination Chamber. For me, the next step is that she conquers Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Charlotte won't be hurt by that whatsoever, but for Tiffany, it would be really, really beneficial. Number 6, Jade Cargill tells all. So yeah, great high octane way to start the Elimination Chamber this weekend. All the women are in the ring, they're ready to go in the Elimination Chamber. Let's start this off. Liv Morgan's looking terrified. Jade Cargill's music hits. She comes down the ring. It's the first time we've seen her since November when she was laid out on that car. We've been running the whole mystery attacker storyline with Jade since then, and it appeared to be resolved. Or has it been at Elimination Chamber? Because initially Jade looked like she was going to go after Liv, hence why Liv looked terrified, but instead she pivoted. She ran past Liv and kicked the crap out of her partner, Naomi. Of course, Naomi has benefited immensely from Jade not being there. She became the Women's Tag Team Champion in her stead. She took that spot. When Jade was no longer able to compete and defend the belt, she said, hey, Bianca, I'm in the big three too. Let's do it. Let's do this thing. They've since lost the belts, of course, to Liv and Raquel Rodriguez. So, it gives Jade a bit of ammo to go, hey, you took my belt and then you lost it. On top of, hey, you beat me up and put me on the car and I couldn't wrestle for 3 months. That's nasty. That's mean behavior. But yeah, there's obviously going to be some big follow-up with Jade on SmackDown this week, perhaps. She's got a lot of unpacking of the story to do. If it was indeed Naomi who took her out and beat her up, we'll probably hear from Naomi as well. And then on the other side of all of this, of course, you got Bianca Belair, who we'll talk about in the next entry in a little bit more detail. But she's kind of the person in the middle of all of this. Or is she in the middle of all of this? Was this some kind of scheme? Did she maybe frame Naomi? There's all kinds of stuff that's still into play. I don't necessarily think that the whodunit is completely over. Jade Cargill has to do a big old expose on all of this on an upcoming show. And look, that segment, that opening shot of the Elimination Chamber was over as hell, and I think that bodes really, really well for Jade in general. We'll move on to entry number 5, which is Bianca Belair going after Rhea Ripley. I think this one ties in nicely to the previous entry because, of course, Bianca and Jade are/were/still are maybe allies in all of this. But yes, Bianca won the Women's Elimination Chamber, which I think was the right move. And she had a face-off afterwards with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Now, of course, tonight's Raw could change all of this when Io Sky and Rhea Ripley wrestle for the belt. But the insinuation there was that the Rhea and Bianca were on one side, Io was in the middle, maybe a triple threat on the horizon. Maybe Io just wins and they do one-on-one with Bianca. Maybe it's just one-on-one Rhea and Bianca. Look, Rhea and Bianca's a match that they've teased many times over the past 2 or 3 years. Backstage interactions, little stares here and there, but they've never pulled the trigger on it for WrestleMania. And I think it's a WrestleMania match one-on-one that has to happen at some point. That being said, while I'm not particularly high myself on the idea of having 20 different triple threats on WrestleMania this year, if you're going to do one, this would work. I mean, they're all great. They all have a reason to be there. One would be the champion. One would be Io, who's got beef with Rhea. And Bianca's just won the Chamber, of course. So there's various combinations. Hey, look, if you're going to go down the route as well of maybe that Bianca set the whole Jade Cargill thing up, if you want to go down that route and turn her heel, you could put Jade in this match and make it a 4-way, and that would work as well. Or you could pivot off and do various other options. I think we're in a position where the 2 top profile women's matches for the belts, the gold, they make a lot of sense, and they're in a position, all of them, to have just excellent matches as well. So it's good stuff. You could make the argument that maybe one of these matches should headline night 1 of WrestleMania 2. I think Jey Uso versus Gunther would be the other leading candidate for that. Or maybe they do some kind of crazy all-star tag with the guy who turned heel on the show and the guy he turned heel to sell his soul. We'll talk about that later on. Before then, let's move on to entry number 4. Randy Orton punting Kevin Owens. Yeah, this is going to happen, my friends. They teased it heavily, didn't they, at Elimination Chamber. Of course, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn had a big old plunder brawl, unsanctioned match. They had mood lighting and weapons and hockey sticks and all kinds of stuff going on there. Afterwards, Randy Orton came back. Now, it's the first time we've seen him since Kevin Owens put him out. It was October or November, one of those 2 months. End of the year, end of last year. He was out for blood, wasn't he? Elimination Chamber. He went right after Kevin Owens, but he couldn't get the punt off. Which is probably for the best, because the punt has always been sold as like a death blow in a lot of ways. In a similar way to WWE has recently reintroduced Kevin Owens using the package pile driver as this really dangerous move that puts people on the shelf. Randy has the punt, which if they're going to wrestle at Mania, and I think they will, I think that's the match. That's a really interesting dynamic, isn't it? It's who can hit their ultimate finisher first. Can Kevin Owens hit the package pile driver before Randy hits the punt? But I think the payoff probably has to be Randy hitting the punt, right? I mean, it sounds funny to talk of that as a babyface move because it's been something that has sold as just this murderous blow over the years. But the story should be the face winning in the end in most wrestling situations. Kevin, yeah, you know, he loses a lot of big matches, but he's Kevin Owens. He's bulletproof in these situations. I think it's totally fine. So I think you're going to get to WrestleMania, and when you get there, you're going to get KO eating a punt for his troubles, for all the crimes he's committed over the years, for all the dastardly deeds he's done. Randy may be looking a bit regretful, or maybe not. He's the Viper, baby. He's cold-blooded. He's a snake. He does that thing where he like crawls along the mat and wriggles about and all that stuff. It's good stuff across the board. Maybe Sami could be involved in this. I know a lot of people are kind of fantasy booking a bit of a triple threat here with these guys as well. We'll see how it pans out. It's going to be a SmackDown story, I guess, in the coming weeks heading in to Mania. Entry number 3, Punk, Rollins and Reigns, maybe in a triple threat. Alright, so I knew I said I wasn't going to book a lot of triple threats or whatever here, but this just appears to be the direction they're heading in rather than me saying this is exactly what I want from the situation. So Punk, obviously, he was the last man eliminated at Elimination Chamber. It was down to Seth Rollins. He hit him with a stomp on the outside of the chamber on that floor. John Cena put him in the STFU, and Punk passed out. So they're reigniting the beef between Punk and Rollins. If it ever disignited, that's not a word, if it ever cooled off in the first place. They obviously had that match earlier in the year on the first Raw of 2025. The triple threat with Roman Reigns has been rumoured multiple times before. We know that Big Rome may be not appearing until late March. There was a report over the weekend stating that those were his upcoming dates. He's been off for a little while, selling the antics of Mr. Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble when he just wiped Roman out, hit him with a stomp on the steps that looked horrible. So he's selling an injury angle. All 3 of these guys, they've got a reason to tussle. at WrestleMania, so it just appears to be the route that makes the most sense. I had Punk maybe down as a potential candidate to sell his soul to The Rock, which obviously didn't end up happening. But nonetheless, look, Punk and Rollins, they've been feuding all year before that as well. They've had plenty of little nibbly interactions over the years, and Reigns has that existing beef. I think that at some point you want singles matches between all these guys, right? I mean, Punk versus Reigns is just blockbuster, and Rollins versus Reigns has to happen again at some point on a bigger stage, a bigger ceremony than last time when it went about 8 or 9 minutes. It was really cool, but they probably have a longer one in the chamber too. So if you're doing the Triple Threat at Mania over the next couple of years, you can do those singles matches whenever the heck you want. And look, also if you're sitting here and trying to figure out the Mania card, if not this Triple Threat, it's quite hard to think what these other people would be doing. Punk could do Logan Paul after their Raw interactions, but then it's like you've just built this Rollins thing at Elimination Chamber, so what happens with that? Do you do that on Raw again? Reigns and Rollins could then go away and have a singles match and it'd be pretty damn good, but hey, who knows? I think a Triple Threat is the way they're heading with that, but let us know down in the comments below, what do you think? What do you think these three men are going to be doing at WrestleMania? Entry number 2, more chaos from The Rock. So yeah, man, what's going on with The Rock? So do you guys reckon that this countdown, this 3, 2, whatever, do you think he's building to something there, or is he just making up as he goes along? Who knows with The Rock? But he obviously did the 3, Bad Blood, and then when he cut his throat and triggered the John Cena heel turn at Elimination Chamber, he went down to 2. Is this a body count? Was Cody Rhodes the first of the digits to fall? If so, who could be next? Roman Reigns, perhaps? Maybe John Cena later down the road if you want to turn Cena face again. I don't know. It's interesting to consider. What we do know is that The Rock is back on the televised universe. I don't necessarily think he's going to be around every single week. He's a busy guy. I don't think that the Cena turn necessarily guarantees that he'll have, like, you know, this in-arena week-to-week presence. But, you know, we'll maybe get some of those sweary social media promos, and I'm sure he'll be on Raw and SmackDown in some shape or form, and then at Mania itself. He could just send in pre-shot videos, who knows. But look, The Rock's been all over the place this year, and it's been an absolute delight to watch. He had the appearance on the 6th of January episode of Raw, the Netflix debut, where he just burned every story he had, appeared to set everything on fire. He appeared on NXT the next night, where he was really strangely got into by people criticizing him. And then he shows up, he wants Cody Rhodes' soul, now he's triggered a John Cena heel turn. What's going on? All I can say personally is that I think The Rock has now been at the heart of the 2 most memorable WWE angles of the past 2 years. This year, the Cena turn, and last year, bloodying Cody Rhodes on Raw. If you told me that at any point over the past 20 years that The Rock would be so prominent and great again, I would have actually asked that someone remove your brain and send it for research, because there's something wrong with it. But hey, look, that's how the world works, and that's how pro wrestling works. It is this beautiful, unique, chaotic art form where plans change all of the time. People get screwed over. People are politicking, people are fighting for spots. The Rock's over here just causing problems for everyone, apart from himself and the people directly in his orbit. It's all fun, it's all good to follow. I don't know why anyone would ever want pro wrestling to be safe and normal and just linear. It's much better when it's all over the place. This is part of the joy of the whole thing. And one thing's for sure with The Rock is that you're never sure of what's happening next. If he's going to wrestle at Mania, I think the biggest, most likely option would be some kind of tag with him and Cena against Cody and whoever else you want to throw in there. But hey, look, if he decides he wants to do that, he's just going to do it. He's got power, man. He's got like a small ownership stake in TKO. He can do what he wants. He's the boss in a lot of ways. And at number 1, corporate champion Cena. I'm going there, baby. I'm having John Cena dethrone Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Why the hell not? Why the hell not? Look, it would be maybe not the smartest move in the book, admittedly, because it's John Cena's retirement year, right? So maybe if he takes Ric Flair's record, you want that to be a celebratory thing. You want it to be, oh my God, he's done it. John Cena's done it. Yay, yay, yay. Flowers, confetti, all of that. In this case, it would be a total bummer. It'd be like, a prick? Why? But then, I don't know, it's Ric Flair. Maybe you wouldn't have that reaction. I don't know. But it's super interesting. It completely subverts the idea of this Cena retirement run, this entire heel heel turn malarkey. It's one of the most shocking and impactful WWE angles of the past, I don't know, 20, 30 years. It's absolutely huge. Who going into the the pay-per-view, whatever you call it, who going into the chamber was sitting there going, you know what, I think John Cena's going to turn heel. If you did, you're a genius. Congratulations. But I wasn't. I was sitting here going, maybe Punk or maybe Cody will turn or maybe Drew. But then you sit down and think about it, right? Cody turning heel, is that a thing that needs to happen? I'm not sick of it. I don't think the fans in the arena are sick of it. He's worked out wonders as babyface world champion. In fact, he's been such a strong babyface champion that The Rock and John Cena have had to turn heel to kind of accommodate for all of this. He'll face Cena at WrestleMania, and yeah, like previously, they could have done face versus face. They could have done honor, respect, handshakes, that kind of match. This is just a lot more interesting to me. It has a sharper dynamic. It has a palpable sense of hatred. They're going to tear into each other on the microphone. That's a lot of fun, especially because Cena, when he wants to, is a little devil when it comes to breaking kayfabe and stuff in these situations. So, hey, look, 17th world champion, it would be kind of fun if that happened and it was a boo moment rather than a yay moment. And I don't think you've seen the end of John Cena babyface. I do think that, he'll probably turn towards the end of the year and do a bit of a victory lap, right? As he retires and heads off into the sunset. Or maybe he's lying about retiring. Heels lie all the time. I don't know. Who knows? One thing's for sure, folks, now that he's a heel, he finally can just, give up the ghost when it comes to that bald spot. Because, man, bald shame, it's a heel move. If you're upset at that, if you're ashamed of, nature, your destiny, nature taking its course, you're a heel. You're a heel. So it fits the character perfectly. The bald community is welcoming, warming, and all those things, and to shun it is disrespectful of the highest order. It's a disgrace, John Cena, in general. The worst thing he's ever done, if you ask me, including the heel turn. But look, we're the road to WrestleMania, all those cliches, it's well underway now. We're moving towards Las Vegas at a much faster rate. The card is coming together. You'll probably see matches start to be announced very soon because it's the next big show. Cody versus Cena is a blockbuster main event made even bigger by this angle that closed the Elimination Chamber. The angle itself was hugely impactful. Shockwaves went hugely viral, especially in the wrestling space. Probably penetrated a few cultural spheres elsewhere as well, and it's a pretty exciting time if you're like super locked into WWE. The big theater, bombastic, big picture stuff feels like it's taking speed, like it did around this time of year last year for Mania as well, when The Rock turned heel and all that great stuff ensued. But hey, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are you excited about the road to WrestleMania after Elimination Chamber? Are you fired up for all these developments? And once you've done that, you can check out this video right here, which the algorithm thinks you are going to just adore. So don't shout at me. If you don't, it's the computer's fault, and we can't trust them damn computers. Bye.